fact, WNBA players are not underpaid at all. They are, if anything, vastly overpaid.
Is Matt Walsh right? Are WNBA players really overpaid, or is he just stirring the pot for clicks? At first, it might sound far-fetched, but the numbers behind his claims have sparked serious debate across the sports world. From Walsh declaring Caitlin Clark as the only player worth big money to the league's reported financial struggles, this controversy is gaining momentum. Let's dive into the details and unpack what's fueling this wildfire.
The WNBA and its players are closing in on an opt-out date for their current collective bargaining agreement. The CBA is essentially an agreement that sorts out what percentage of money goes to the players and at the end of the day decides what their salaries will be. And if the players' union does opt out, the current CBA, which was set to expire in 2027, will still be in effect next season, so the two sides have a year to come to an agreement.
Let's start with the WNBA's bold gamble. Players recently chose to opt out of their collective bargaining agreement, a clear message to the league: pay up or face a potential work stoppage. It's a risky move, especially for a league already facing significant financial struggles. The big question remains: can the WNBA afford to take this gamble, or will it backfire?
If the players and the league can't come to an agreement, then a lockout will happen.
These athletes aren't just asking for minor pay raises. They're demanding a full-scale transformation. Higher salaries, better benefits, and improved facilities are all on the table. It's a push for a complete reset of their working conditions. If no agreement is reached by the end of the 2025 season, the league could face a full-scale strike that shuts it down entirely. The stakes couldn't be higher.
Opting out isn't just about bigger paychecks. It's about claiming our rightful share of the business we built, improving working conditions, and sharing a future where the success we create benefits today's players and generations to come. We're not just asking for a CBA that reflects our value, we're demanding it.
Let's look at the hard numbers. The top WNBA salary sits around $250,000, a stark contrast to the millions NBA rookies earn straight out of the draft. Star players like Breanna Stewart are pushing for the league to allow million-dollar contracts, a move that would mark a monumental leap from current pay levels. This demand highlights the vast disparity and raises questions about the league's financial feasibility for such a shift.
Also chimed in and said that she would love to see teams have the ability to have $1 million player.
Enter the WNBA's shiny new media rights deal, $200 million annually from Disney, Amazon Prime, and NBC. It's a game changer for the league's financial future, but players aren't willing to wait years for that money to trickle down. They want their share now. Kelsey Plum, one of the league's most outspoken stars, summed it up perfectly. Players are ready to claim what they believe they deserve, without delay.
We are not asking to get paid what the men get paid. We're asking to get paid the same percentage of revenue shared.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Got it. So that's a huge misconception.
That's a huge misconception.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah, because every video is like, oh, this person gets paid this person gets paid that, right?
So I want to be really clear about that. Like, I don't think I should get paid the same as LeBron.
Right.
But the percentage of revenue, like, for example, they sell my jersey in Mandalay Bay, I don't get a dime.
You don't get any money from jersey sales?
That's crazy.
The push for better pay has ignited a fiery debate. Many fans are rallying behind the players, calling the demands long overdue. But skeptics argue that a league struggling to turn a profit simply can't afford higher salaries. Adding to the controversy, Matt Walsh, never one to shy from stirring the pot, suggested that WNBA players are already overpaid given the league's financial struggles. And here's where it gets messy. The numbers don't lie. Despite the new $200 million media rights deal, the WNBA is still bleeding money, with profitability remaining a distant goal. Walsh's remarks have only added fuel to the fire, sparking questions about whether the league can justify any pay increases at all. One thing is certain: the WNBA stands at a pivotal crossroads. The stakes are higher than ever, and the outcome could redefine the league's future. Stay with us as we unpack the many layers of this explosive debate.
Keeping in mind, salaries were going to go up after the new media rights deal started, and they got a little while before that starts. It's not going to be next year. but they couldn't wait for that. You know, I mean, that media rights deal is sizable, all right? The league is set to possibly pull a profit for the first time ever because of that media rights deal.
The WNBA is projected to lose $40 million this year. You might be asking, wait, what about the Caitlin Clark hype? Weren't there record-breaking crowds and TV ratings this season? And you're absolutely right. From sold-out arenas to viral highlights, the league seems to be basking in unprecedented buzz and a rapidly growing fan base. But here's the contradiction. It's like the WNBA exists in two parallel realities. While the excitement is real, so is the financial struggle. Despite the rising interest, the league remains a money pit, leaving NBA owners puzzled and questioning how to bridge the gap between the hype and profitability.
WNBA is set to lose $40 million.
Speaking of NBA owners, they're no longer keeping quiet. For years, they've been footing the bill, pouring millions into a league that burns through cash faster than it brings in revenue. Now, their patience is wearing thin. And can you really blame them? These owners have been the WNBA's financial backbone, but despite their continued investment, the league remains stuck in the red, with no clear path to profitability in sight.
Caitlin Clark, even with Angel Reese, the league lost $40 million this year. $40 million. All right, keep that in mind. So this league is not operating on a profit.
James Dolan, owner of the New York Knicks, is leading the charge. Love him or hate him, when he speaks, people listen. He's reportedly pressing NBA Commissioner Adam Silver for answers about the WNBA's financial struggles. And when one NBA owner raises concerns, others usually follow. This isn't just frustration, it's a demand for transparency.
And NBA investors are actually starting to get irritated. It's about time.
So what's really happening behind the scenes? Turns out, the NBA has been playing a game of financial hide-and-seek for years. They've quietly absorbed the WNBA's massive losses into their own balance sheets, making it nearly impossible to get a clear picture of just how bad things are. It's a financial strategy that's kept the true scope of the problem under wraps. Until now.
And of all owners to actually be sort of a hero on this, it is James Dolan. One of them, of course, from the Knicks, that is asking a lot of questions right now, and evidently a lot of other owners are sort of happy that he's taking this bullet.
Naturally, this has raised more than a few eyebrows. NBA owners are fed up with writing blank checks and are now demanding full transparency. They want to know exactly where their money is going, and who can blame them. It's like they've been pouring funds into a black hole with no accountability. Now, they're ready to see the receipts.
So the NBA provides the WNBA with an annual endowment of over $15 million. This financial support helps to cover various operating costs for WNBA teams, including facilities, travel, marketing, and administration. As of 2023, the NBA owns 50% of the WNBA, while the 12 WNBA teams collectively own the other 50%.
Here's the part that's blowing everyone's mind. The WNBA's entire business model relies on NBA support. It's not just supplemental funding, it's lifeline funding. Without the NBA's millions propping it up year after year, the league wouldn't even be able to keep the lights on. This has many questioning whether this setup is sustainable. In the long term, how much longer will the NBA continue subsidizing a league that's consistently losing money? But here's where the story takes an even wilder turn. Amid all this financial chaos, WNBA players are demanding more money. They're asking for higher salaries, better benefits, and improved facilities, all while the league is bleeding cash. It's like asking for a raise when your company is on the verge of bankruptcy. Bold? Absolutely. Risky? Even more so. So what's driving these demands? Are the players seeing the writing on the wall, or do they genuinely believe higher pay will be the magic bullet to turn things around? Either way, this could be one of the most pivotal moments in the WNBA's history. Will the players' gamble pay off, Or is the league headed for an unavoidable financial iceberg? One thing's for sure. The stakes have never been higher.
League, they're getting fed up. You're seeing that headline. We'll lose $40 million. NBA investors are growing impatient.
Speaking of high-stakes gambles, let's dive into the chaos Matt Walsh just unleashed. The man isn't holding back, claiming WNBA players are overpaid. A statement so incendiary, it makes Caitlin Clark's headlines seem tame. Walsh isn't just saying salaries are inflated. He's suggesting the league shouldn't even exist in its current form. Bold? Absolutely. Controversial? Without a doubt. But before you dismiss him entirely, let's take a look at the numbers. As polarizing as Walsh is, he might not be entirely wrong. The WNBA hasn't turned a profit in nearly 30 years. Compare that to the NBA, a financial juggernaut pulling in billions annually. The disparity is staggering. It's like comparing a lemonade stand to Amazon.
These women are getting paid salaries to play for a league that, economically speaking, shouldn't exist. You don't have to be a financial whiz to understand that losing money for 30 years is usually a recipe for bankruptcy. The only reason the women's league stays open is that the NBA subsidizes it.
And where does all this money come from? The NBA. For decades, the league has been funneling millions into the WNBA just to keep it afloat. Think of it like a life support system, with the NBA covering salaries, marketing, and even day-to-day operations. Walsh has bluntly called this out, stating, if a business hasn't been profitable for this long, maybe it's time to pull the plug.
The WNBA has existed for nearly 30 years. It has never once turned a profit. According to WSN.com, a sports betting site, the WNBA generates about $60 million in revenue. For the record, an article in Vox claims that the revenue is in the $100-200 million range, which I find dubious. But either way, the NBA, by contrast, brings in $10 billion of revenue with something like $3 billion in profits. So that means that the NBA generates more than 150 times the revenue of the WNBA.
Harsh? Absolutely. But here's where things get complicated. While some fans are furious, accusing Walsh of misogyny and stirring up drama for clicks, others are quietly agreeing. After all, how long can a league survive when its expenses vastly outweigh its revenue? Walsh is forcing people to ask tough questions, questions the WNBA probably doesn't want to have.
The only reason the women's league stays open is that the NBA subsidizes it. Every year, the men's league hands millions of dollars to the women. And why do they do that? Well, so that everyone can feel good about the fact that a women's league exists.
Enter Caitlin Clark, the rookie sensation who's single-handedly changing the narrative. The league is pinning its hopes on her, banking on the Caitlin effect to bring new energy, higher ratings, and, most importantly, revenue. And let's be real, it's working. Clark's games are must-watch TV, her jerseys are flying off the shelves, and she's attracting new fans by the thousands. But not everyone in the WNBA is thrilled about the spotlight being so firmly on her.
Although the WNBA generates $60 million in revenue, or even if it's $100 million, let's say, it makes no profit. These women are getting paid salaries to play for a league that, economically speaking, shouldn't exist. You don't have to be a financial whiz to understand that losing money for 30 years is usually a recipe for bankruptcy.
Here's the twist. Instead of embracing Clark as a savior, some WNBA players and officials are treating her like an outsider. It's almost baffling. Rather than celebrating her arrival and the influx of fresh fans she's brought, there's been noticeable resistance. Players have openly criticized the new audience, calling them bandwagon fans who don't understand the league's history or culture. The irony? These so-called bandwagon fans are exactly what the WNBA needs to survive. The tension is hard to ignore. Some WNBA players see Clark as a symbol of everything they've fought against, focusing on one individual instead of the collective. But let's be honest, the league's financial struggles don't leave room for pride. With the WNBA staring down another season of losses, alienating new fans, or worse, the one player who could save the league, feels like pure self-sabotage.
This league is going to make some money now, all right? But again, what happens if you push all these new fans back out? What does that do for your media rights deals? Because they only got the new media rights deals because of one player. I mean, singular, let's be honest. It's Caitlin Clark. She boosted all the ratings. She got the popularity.
And guess what? All this drama unfolds against the backdrop of players demanding higher pay. As the league bleeds money, they're pushing for a complete overhaul of salaries, benefits, and facilities. It's an admirable fight. But here's the question Walsh and many others are asking. How can you demand more when the league can't even break even?
And if they do, that means the salaries are likely to rise, which would eat into the potential $60 million for the 2026 profit by the league. The $100 million in television revenue, turning the projected $40 million loss into a $60 million gain. Quote, we have not even getting any money from the WNBA expansion fee.
The WNBA is at a crossroads. On one side, there's the old guard, resistant to change and skeptical of new faces. On the other, there's Caitlin Clark, a player who could redefine the league if given the chance. The question now is whether the WNBA will embrace this new era or crumble under the weight of its own resistance.
She boosted all the ratings, she got the popularity, and now all your players across the league are attacking her fans, the Iowa fans, the Indiana Fever fans. Look at those Connecticut Sun players talking about Indiana Fever fans are racist. Angel Reese talking about Indiana Fever fans are racist. Caitlin Clark fans are racist. People are going to get tired of that, and they're going to be like, the hell with it. Let's let this league burn itself to the ground where it should have been a long time ago.
The WNBA is caught in a storm, and the thunder is louder than ever. With the league's future hanging by a thread, you'd think everyone would rally behind the star player who's bringing in record-breaking attention. But no, players like Angel Reese are stirring the pot, even going as far as labeling Caitlin Clark's fans as racist. Yes, you heard that right. The very fan base that could save the league is being alienated by those within it. Instead of embracing Clark's rise, there's resistance, resentment, and a dangerous game of division being played.